My question is to Margaret. I'm 90 years of age. My wife is 81. We've decided that we will not go into any kind of aged care facility. And if the time comes where we can't take care of ourselves, we will look for some form of euthanasia. We've told our children about our wishes. They have, albeit reluctantly, agreed that that is relatively effective. Sorry, not effective, but they've agreed to our wishes. But you don't seem to be able to agree, and why?
Okay, that's a big question. You're talking about what the Dutch are now calling a completed life. And the Dutch are actually looking at extending euthanasia to people like you who say, I'd rather be dead than go into a nursing home, even though you're not terminally ill. And originally, when euthanasia was first introduced, it was usually a condition that you had to be in terrible suffering, the suffering wasn't able to be relieved, you had to be a competent adult, and you had to give your informed consent. And now what we see in the Netherlands, and actually in Belgium as well, none of those conditions necessarily apply.
Are you making a slippery slope argument, Margot?
Well, it is a slippery slope argument, yes, and that's by way of lead-in to why do I think euthanasia is a very bad idea. I actually believe that one person intentionally killing another person is wrong, but not everybody agrees with that. Some people think it can be justified in some cases. But even if you think that, I would argue to you that the risks and harms of legalising, and particularly legalising doctors being able to take the lives of their patients, inflicting death intentionally, is so dangerous that we shouldn't allow it. Your death doesn't affect just you. Your death it's a social event. It affects your family, it affects your community, and ultimately, if what we're doing in society is changing the law to allow this type of, putting it bluntly, killing, then it is a seismic shift in our values as a society, that it doesn't uphold respect for life at a societal level. And you have to have respect for life at two levels, for every individual person and for society in general.
I'm going to go, thank you, Margot. I'm going to go back to Ron in a moment, so bear with us. I want to hear from Nikki Gemmell, who's put this whole issue on the agenda.
Yeah, look, Ron, thank you for your story and thank you for your compassion and your courage in talking about it and with talking to your children about it, because that's what my mother didn't do. She was suffering from chronic pain and she had investigated the euthanasia situation in this country, and she realised that to protect us, she would have to go alone, and she died a very bleak and lonely and desolate death without any love and without her family around her, because she was trying to protect us. She knew that if we were implicated, if we were involved in any way, if we assisted in any way, we would be implicated. We could possibly be facing police investigations, and I did have a police investigation. We could face fines, possibly even jail terms. Mum was trying to protect us, but she was a passionate advocate of euthanasia and wanted the situation to change in Australia so that she could pass away peacefully in a room brimming with love, surrounded by love. We have so many elderly people in this country. The beautiful police officer with absolute tenderness and compassion who came to me, to my doorstep, and told me that my mother had died. She said to me, Nikki, this is an epidemic. On my beat, I see this situation happening all the time with elderly people suiciding out of despair, and no one is talking about it. Subsequently, in terms of research for my book and all the rest of it, I've discovered, you know, these beautiful old men, they want to euthanize themselves, they don't know how to, they want to involve their families. They're doing things like getting nail guns and trying to kill themselves with nail guns and leaving trails of blood throughout the houses. They're hanging themselves on Hill's hoists out in the back garden. And I've been doing some forums involved with my book, and it's so interesting. The elderly people who stand up and they say, Nikki, no one is listening to us. Please listen to us with respect and compassion and understand where we're coming from. And I would say, Margot, I'm speaking for 80% of the Australian population here who support the euthanasia laws, and in terms of Catholics and Anglicans, I'm speaking for up to 70% of them as well.
Nikki, can I just bring in something about your story,
Yes.
which I understood... Okay, so something I understood when reading your story was your mother, as you said, suffering from chronic pain,
Yes.
but never sought any form of sophisticated pain relief.
No.
From a pain management centre, which exists, obviously, around the
Yes.
country. Would that have totally changed the equation if she'd sought pain relief and it had actually had worked?
Yes, and in terms of checks and balances with the situation in the Netherlands and Belgium, in America, there are extraordinary hoops that you have to leap through to actually be accepted into a euthanasia program. I know that if we'd had something like this in Victoria, you know, in a couple of months, we may get some good news about this situation. Or if we had a Dignitas, which is the clinic in Switzerland where you can go to die, it is very hard to actually be accepted into that clinic. I have a beautiful friend who is going there in a couple of weeks to pass away, holding the hands of her adult children, all 4 of them, and her best friend. She has months and months of trying to get accepted. It is very, very hard to do it. And there are so many checks and balances.
Tony,
Rightly so.
I'll come back to Margot. I said I'd go back to Ron, who asked the question. I'm listening to this, Ron. I mean, what is it... First of all, we haven't heard from your wife who's sitting next to you, so I guess I guess we're all sort of sitting here wondering if Ron is actually speaking for both of you, because we haven't heard from you. So...
yes, Ron is speaking for me as well. And right now, we're in good health. We do not intend to take our own health, our life, until we need to. And it's not about killing anyone. We will be doing it ourselves. I'm not asking Ron to kill me. I will do it myself. And Ron will do it himself. I don't know what you're on about, darling, about killing. That is definitely the wrong word to be using.
but it's still killing yourself.
But it's up to me.
If it's not, yes, I know, but that doesn't...
And it's got nothing to do with the community, darling. It's to
How-
do with our family.
How you die does have to do with the community.
Bullshit. Tell it as it is.
I tell you, I'm actually going to go to the next question because it's still related. We may come back to you yet.
Absolutely.